Hello and welcome to the Capital Markets on Channels Television. I'm Edidiong Iwang. We begin today's show with a review of the markets where bearish sentiments dominated this week as concerns about the uptick in yields in the fixed income market made investors sell down their portfolio. The stock markets recorded losses in all of the trading sessions of the week, with the all-share index shedding 1.7% week on week to close at 41,709.09 points. Now that brought the month-to-date return to about 3.6%. Activity levels were, however, stronger as trading volumes rose by 7.4%, while value traded rose by 6.4%. Now, sell-offs in WAPCO, Zenith Bank, Nestle, and Dangote Cements drove the weekly loss as sectoral performance was broadly negative, with all sectors closing in the red. At the unlisted securities markets, the NSI fell marginally by 1 basis point week on week to 725.29 points, while the market cap was lower at 520.41 billion naira. A total of 1.1 million units worth 26.88 million naira were exchanged in 31,000 deals. Now, looking at the fixed income markets now, activity in the Treasury bond secondary market turned bullish as investors took to double-digit yield level of some longer-dated instruments as a good re-entry point into the bond market. Now, average yield declined by 7 basis points to 8.0%. Across the benchmark curve, market interest peaked at the mid and long-dated instruments. Now, the average yield expanded at the short end as investors sold off. On Friday, there were 20 deals worth 13.84 billion naira. Away from market numbers now, the Investment and Securities Tribunal was established for the resolution of disputes arising from the capital market in a speedy, informal, and business-like manner. Its enactment was a result of the perceived philosophical standpoint that the administration of justice in the capital market required to be responsive to the needs of litigants above all else. Now, although the IST is considered as a fast-track medium for resolution of capital market disputes and is deemed for all intents and purposes to be a civil court, a lot is still not clear about the responsibilities and jurisdiction of the tribunal. The chairman and CEO of the Investment and Securities Tribunal, Honorable Amos Azeez, joins us now to bring us up to speed on the activities of the IST. Good evening, Honorable Azeez. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good evening, Didion and viewers.
Well, we'd just like to start with this. What are the core statutory responsibilities of the IST?
Gladly, you have already encapsulated the major jurisdiction of the IST, that is resolution of disputes in the Nigerian capital market in a expeditious manner. Such disputes may include IPO-related issues, that is, initial public offering issues arising from such exercises, relationship between operators of the market and its regulators, relationship between the regulators and the SROs, sub-regulatory agencies, that is when we talk of the SROs, we're talking of the exchanges and other market infrastructure. Just like any human endeavor, disputes and disagreements are natural. They are bound to happen either due to deliberate misinterpretation of relationship or inadvertent breach of relationships. And therefore, the capital market being one of the most important sectors of the economy of any nation, a platform upon which nations and corporate institutions access cheap funds for their infrastructural development and operations. Therefore, it becomes necessary for investors to have a specialized dispute resolution organ as a way of boosting confidence that if I invest in particularly in Nigerian capital market, and a disagreement ensues, which is bound to happen, there is a specialized court that is isolated from the normal judicial bureaucracy that will now deal with these issues expeditiously within a statutory given period of time. And so therefore, the process and the proceedings at the tribunal are such ones that has abridged a lot of the judicial processes that we have in normal court setting. And that is not to say that the business community has lost confidence in the Nigerian judicial system. It's only to say, let's reduce the workload of the Federal High Court and then give this section of the business relationship special attention. Because in every business relationship, profit and gain is a primary consideration. If, as a nation, we're talking about Nigeria being an investment destination, and we are appealing or we require the participation of all cadre of people, both foreign and domestic or local investors, definitely they must be assured that in case of a problem, there's a structure that is in place to attend to it. So by establishment, the Investment and Securities Tribunal is established to resolve investment disputes arising from capital market transactions. Basically, it is a civil court for all purposes. Mm-hmm. It does not delve into criminal matters in such relationships. Criminal relationships that arise out of business transaction, the system is equipped. You have the EFCC, you have the Office of Attorney General that handles that. So basically, the tribunal is a civil court that deals with matters arising out of capital market relationship.
All right, Honorable, now talking about jurisdiction, are there any issues of the tribunal's jurisdiction overlapping those of the state high court and the federal high court? There is no conflict in terms of jurisdictional powers between the tribunal and state high courts. Yes, there may be some overlapping issues, overlapping jurisdictional issues between the tribunal and the federal high court. We must admit that the tribunal is not yet recognized in the Constitution as a court of record. However, in contradistinction to the federal high court, which has a clear constitutional empowerment. However, the law that established the tribunal specifically gave a jurisdiction exclusively to handle capital market disputes. And this has clearly been affirmed by the Court of Appeal in the case of Professor Ajayi and the Securities and Exchange Commission. The Court of Appeal clearly said the jurisdiction of the tribunal is as given to it by the law establishing it. And in this case, the Investment and Securities Act 2007. And indeed, we have enjoyed good relationship with the Federal High Court because most often judges of the Federal High Court transfer cases that borders on capital market to the tribunal. At least that also gives them, it frees off the stress and the burden they go through. So we've not had any conflict in terms of who should do what and why Mr. A should do it instead of B. So coming from I'm glad you've clarified that, because there's been a lot of, talks about jurisdiction or any issues around that. So it's good to get some clarification from you. But coming from the Securities and Exchange Commission and now at the IST, how has that transition been for you? And can you share your experiences so far in office?
Well, I wouldn't say really a transition, because I have served out my service with the SEC before I pick up the appointment as the chairman of the tribunal. But however, and I think the beauty about it is that having worked in a regulatory environment, SEC being the apex regulator of the entire Nigerian capital market structure, and I am glad to say, having worked in the enforcement department, which basically ensures that security laws and processes are strictly adhered to, that has really equipped me with a fair understanding on the nature of disputes that arise in capital market relationships. So to me, it's a plus, because I am now moving from a regulator to an adjudicator, and an impartial one for that matter. And my experience can only further give me a better standing to dispense justice before disputants that come before the tribunal.
Well, I'm glad you said impartial there. That's very important. But I'd also just like to, hear from you. What are some of the plans you have for the tribunal under your administration?
Well, the plan I have cannot be my own plan, separate from the main essence upon which the tribunal is established. So first and foremost, we as a team, we will make sure we work hard to meet the mandate required of us to dispense justice within the 90 days framework as provided by law, to make sure that we are fair to all parties. That way, when investors are confident that, look, there is a specialized tribunal that is set up to attend to disagreements in the market, that is a very, very important structure in the whole capital market ecosystem, and indeed in the financial sector. And it may be of interest for our viewers to also know that the IST, as we call it, is the only tribunal in Africa. And indeed, as you may know, that the Securities and Exchange Commission is an Appendix A signatory in the IASCO Multilateral Memorandum of Understanding. IASCO is the pest setter, is the Association of Security Commissions worldwide. They say the standard on how security business will be conducted. And issues of enforcement and dispute resolution are key. So the IST really has played a prominent role in getting Nigeria to sign up as an Appendix A signatory in the IASCO Multilateral Understanding based on the provisions, because when you apply, your enabling law or the operational law will be looked at. And so the same law that established the SEC, the same law established the IST. And so therefore, it is a plus for the country, and indeed we're the fourth one globally. So indeed, therefore, with that kind of standing, it now puts us on the spot to make sure that we deepen the jurisprudence of the Nigerian capital market through the judicial pronouncements that we will make through reviewing of issues that will come before us.
All right, Honorable, I just need you to
Therefore,
hold. Okay. All right, we'll just need you to hold your thoughts there. We need to go on a quick break, and then we'll continue this conversation when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on the program. Honorable Amos Aziz, the chairman of the Investment and Securities Tribunal, is still with us in our Abuja studios. Now, Prof, and before we went on that break, you're talking about your experience so far in the IST. I'd just like to ask, have there been any challenges for you, or what are the main challenges that the tribunal is facing currently?
Challenges are bound to, every institution has some challenges. So that for the IST cannot be different. But what we are looking at is IST being a tribunal set up for a special purpose tribunal setup. Now we have a responsibility to make sure that we meet that expectation for those of government for establishing it. We also ensure that we meet the expectations of operators, institutions that will come before it. And we're doing all this to make sure that investors have confidence in the Nigerian capital market and that will attract more investment into the country. Now, for now, the challenges we can say are basically infrastructure. Apart from which, we have also the issue of recognition. We are working hard to see. I think I must say this: the importance of this tribunal cannot be overemphasized because the Vision 2020 recognized the IST as an important infrastructure in the whole financial system, and indeed, in their report, they recommended that. Expectation is that by 2020, the IC would transform into the Nigerian Financial Market Tribunal. That has not been achieved. So we see how we can grow to that expectation. And also, if you look at the report of the committee that was set up to look at the various institutions and government establishments. Indeed, the Orosanya Committee recommended that the tribunal is an important infrastructure in the financial system. While it recommended the closure or merger of some, it retained that of the tribunal with a recommendation that the tribunal should be fully funded. So the tribunal being not recognized as a court under the Constitution, we cannot draw funds therefore from the Judicial Service Commission, and so therefore we remain under strict appropriation with the economic challenges this country is facing. And so therefore, by implication, the tribunal is also affected because we get funds as may be appropriated from the national budget. But we thank government so far and the market as a whole. They are supporting the tribunal one way or the other, and we are meeting those expectations required of us. Then, for now, the tribunal does not have a permanent court that you can call its own, except the one donated to us in Kano by the Kano state government, which we have taken possession and we are remodeling it for the purpose it is meant for. So it's an issue, but we are glad that government has recognized that, and they have approved that we be allocated a land for the purpose of building a purpose-built court as a permanent office for the both offices and the courtrooms. So we have that challenge, but we are weathering through it. The issue of manpower could be there, just like most agencies, as a specialized tribunal, so therefore we need experts and specialists in the capital market law to assist the tribunal. and so far, we're not doing badly. And
Honorable, just okay.
it may be of interest to note that from the establishment of the tribunal to date, the tribunal has handled cases and in assets valued at over 800 billion from 2003 to date, when the tribunal has been in full existence. And so therefore, it's a commendable milestone that at least people who have approached the tribunal have not been disappointed, not because we want to massage their ego, but because the tribunal has been able to interpret the law and provide justice to every person that has approached it. So
Honorable,
it's a great thing for us.
I'd like to get your review of 2020. Now, how were the tribunal's activities impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, the NSAS protests? How was 2020 for ISD, and what is the outlook for 2021?
Yes, every sector, globally, everybody was affected by the pandemic. And in Nigeria, with the addition to the NSAS thing, Lagos being a major business hub of the country, the tribunal has a court in Lagos, which is also very active. But we thank God, the tribunal has been able to look inwards to make sure that it does not shrink in its responsibility despite the challenges associated with movement and other related things. The tribunal sat down, looked inwards, now came out with rules of procedure that enabled the tribunal to sit virtually, to hear cases and deliver judgments virtually within the regulated period of time. That is one. So it has challenged us, and it has enabled us to come up with a solution that I believe practitioners were also very happy, because it has taken off the stress of movement and interaction. And where we really have to sit, we ensure that the COVID-19 protocols are strictly adhered to. And so therefore, it is the NSAS protest in Lagos that really affected some of our sittings, because yes, everybody, we don't need to belabor the issue. We know what the Lagos city went through during that period, where people protested, exercising their fundamental human right. However, the popular understanding is that it was hijacked by other people who definitely may not love this country with their dishonest behaviors. But all the same, we can say 2020 has been very fair. We've not done badly, because we've not shrunk in our responsibility in dispensing justice to whom justice is due. For 2021, it's our desire that we improve on what we have done in 2020 in terms of infrastructure, in terms of even the virtual sitting, the little challenges we've experienced. We've come out with laws, we have come up with the procedure for the virtual sitting has been approved, and to be made up public to practitioners. And we've also published our law report so that we codify our decisions, particularly the ones that Superior Courts of Record has affirmed or disagreed with us. They are under print and will be made available to the public.
All right,
so
Honorable.
We are also looking at the infrastructure thing. We are refurnishing, we are remodeling our courtroom so that when you come, you know that you are a place where you meet justice. So,
all right, Honorable.
And we hope that with available funds, we'll be able to have, we automate our processes. Okay. It's important that we automate our processes so that investors, wherever they are, they should be able to file their complaints in the tribunal.
All right, Honorable, we'll look forward to that, but I'm afraid that we've run out of time. All right, Honorable, I'm afraid we've run out of time, but we'll really look forward to, the outlook for 2021. And we hope that the tribunal will be able to achieve all it sets out to do. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. Honorable Amos Azi is the chairman of the Investment and Securities Tribunal. Well, that is on the program tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Edidion Nwang. Do stay safe.